Hello movie lovers. We hope you're having a fantastic day. In this video, we brought something truly special just for you. So without further ado, let's dive right in. Joe was a fisherman who lived for the sea. Like every morning, he'd go away in his small boat, eager for the catch. But that today the ocean felt different. A thick fog rolled in so fast it swallowed the horizon. Sound and shape vanished. Joe lost his path. While drifting blind, he saw a shadow. A yacht, big and silent, visible like a ghost, disappears and appears. Curiosity pulled him close. He tied his boat to its rail and climbed aboard. The moment he stepped inside, his breath hitched. The yacht was spotless and strange. It confused him. Why? Because fresh food on the table, neatly folded clothes, cups on a counter. It smelled faintly of lemon and salt. Signs of people, but no people. No footsteps, no voices. Just a heavy air, impossible quiet. He tried the engine. Dead. He checked and fiddled with switches because he knew how to operate the motors, but the engine refused to wake up. Alone on a vast, empty sea with a perfectly furnished boat and no crew, Joe felt sensation of fear. He raised the binoculars, scanned the fog for another boat or ship, a waving hand. Anything. But nothing visible in the fog. He returned to the control room and switched on a radio. "This yacht is adrift. If anyone hears me, respond." Static answered him. Deciding to leave that weird and empty boat, he ran onto his own deck. Would he find his own skiff boat gone? He tied it tight. Now it was gone without a trace. The fog, which had been a choking around, suddenly lifted. The sky cleared now. It was midday. Joe stood stunned on the empty deck. Heartbeat was going fast. With no other choice, he remained on board, using the yacht's maps to chart the way back. But there was one problem. The engine was still broken. If he wanted to survive, he had to fix it. He seeks around the yacht for tools, sweat, and hope pushing him on. Hours later, uncomfortable and exhausted, but finally the engine bring to its life. Relief flooded him, until the radio stayed silent again in few minutes. He went to the head. Alone on a silent ship, he stepped out to relieve himself. But wait, someone pushed him from behind. Balance lost, and plunged into cold water. The shock took his breath. His hands grabbed the reel. Holding the line, he pulled himself back on board, gasping for air. Still shaken, he went below to finish his work. Suddenly, the door slammed shut. At first he thought it was the wind, but then he realized it was locked from inside. He tried everything. Kicking, jamming a coin into the lock, shouting until his throat ached. No answer. The neat cups on the counter, the folded clothes, the fresh food, none of it explained the locked door. A slow, terrible thought settled in. He was not alone. Something unseen watched him, toyed with him. He screamed, "If anyone's there, open this door. I'm not a thief, just let me go." Silence swallowed completely. Now Joe is losing hope. Joe rushed toward the cabin, praying for a way out. But the moment he stepped inside, his blood ran cold. Dark streaks covered the walls. It was bloodstains. The air was heavy, suffocating. Heart racing, he grabbed a pair of scissors and tried to jamming lock, desperate to escape. No use. The lock held the same. Suddenly, the yacht creaked and shook like something huge had grabbed it. The floor trembled under Joe's feet. Fear rising, he spotted a small window above. He climbed to it and pushed himself out, only to freeze in shock. A giant cargo ship was charging straight at him, its steel body slicing through the sea like a beast. One hit and the yacht would be crushed to pieces. With no flares, no tools, nothing, Joe ripped off his shirt and waved it wildly. He screamed with every ounce of strength. But the cargo ship moved on, blind and deaf. No one saw him. His pulse hammered. One collision and he was done with his life. Then got an idea. A rope hung near the window. If he tied it just right, maybe he could stall the yacht. He threw it outward, anchoring it to drag the vessel back. But instead of slowing, the rope snapped into the engine's fan. It pulled with violently, coiling tight around his neck. In an instant, he was choking, vision swimming. He clawed at the rope, chest burning, life slipping away. At the very edge of death, he fumbled a tool and slashed himself free. His throat burned red, raw, but he was alive. Barely. The engine finally choked, halting the yacht's move a bit. Why? Because the cargo ship struck. The impact thundered like an explosion, tossing Joe across the floor. His head cracked against metal, and darkness swallowed him. Then scene cuts to black. When he came to, his skull throbbed, and the bathroom was flooding. Yet this wasn't salty ocean water. It was fresh, clear, almost pure. Someone, or something, was playing with him. Shaking, he whispered into the silence, "Please, whoever you are, let me go," but nothing. No response. Weak, hungry, and exhausted, he gulped what little water the shower dribbled until it ran dry. Desperate, he bent to the sink. But this time the water was salty. Salt burned his lips. Panic struck. Seawater was getting in. The yacht was leaking, dying. He rattled the door. Locked still. Trapped. Night fell. Outside, he sensed it. The silence and evil presence. An unseen force pulling strings, commanding the boat. The water climbed higher. Exhausted, he collapsed, drifting into uneasy sleep. Then came the storm. Furious winds and waves ripped at the yacht, tearing it apart. Broken and hurt, Joe bled and stumbled through the chaos. By morning, water reached his chin, only his face still above. He struggled to breathe. It felt like the end. Then, click, a soft sound like a lock turning. He grabbed the handle and twisted. The door flew open smoothly, water bursting through. The flood swept him out, but he ran upward, coughing and gasping for air. At last, he broke onto the deck, dragging himself onto the roof, sucking in clean air. Below, the yacht groaned under the weight of water. Above, silence stretched across the horizon. Joe's body shook with exhaustion. He knew now, this was no accident. Something unseen force wanted to give him physical or mental pain, to drag him to the depths. And the yacht was sinking fast. Joe had made up his mind. He would not spend another moment trapped on that cursed yacht. His only hope was escape. Digging through the vessel, he found airbags and the broken bathroom door. With rope and scraps, he lashed them together into a makeshift raft. It wasn't much, but it was freedom. He scavenged food, water, and tools, packing everything carefully. Then, without a glance back, he lowered his raft into the sea and climbed aboard. The ocean rocked him gently as he drifted away. For the first time in days, Joe felt a tiny spark of hope. But the nightmare wasn't finished. Hours passed, and though he rowed and rowed, the massive yacht remained looming in his sight. It hadn't sunk, though by all logic it should have gone down long ago. Then he had an idea. If the yacht is still floating, why not repair it? A fix that would be much stronger than his weak raft. So he returned. First, he patched the leaks. Then, using pipes and tools, he fashioned a crude pump to flush seawater out. Slowly but effectively, the water drained out. Once the inside was dry, he reinforced the hull from outside, tightening every weak spot he could find. At last, the yacht was seaworthy again. Hopes were high. He hurried to the control room and called for help on the radio. Silence. Again, no responses. Disheartened, he turned to the charts, trying to plot his path home. Then he restarted the engine, only to feel the yacht stay perfectly still, rooted to the ocean as if chained by invisible hands. His spirit flagged, and then, in the distance, visible another ship. His heart jumped to hope. He abandoned the dead yacht and scrambled into his raft, paddling hard toward it. But the massive ship began to turn, sliding toward him unnaturally fast, as though steered directly at him. Joe's arms burned as he rowed faster, but the vessel surged quicker still. Just before impact, he threw himself into the water. Swimming for another boat, he glimpsed farther out. He fought the waves with desperate strokes, but when he looked up, the second boat was gone. That's when the truth sank deep into him. The yacht was possessed by some violent or evil force, keeping him prisoner at sea. Terrified yet against, he swore he'd never set foot on it again. But the ocean had other plans. Evening fell, and with it biting cold. Dolphins swam below him, shadows in the dark water, but the freezing waves numbed his strength. Shivering, broken, he finally surrendered and dragged himself back to the yacht. Feverish and too weak to think, he collapsed under a blanket and drifted into a restless sleep. Morning brought no mercy. When he awoke, tried once more to leave the yacht. He discovered the door locked from outside. Panic surged. Why? Why me? He thought. Then his eyes landed on a small wooden cabinet tucked into the corner. Inside, he found an opening, a narrow ventilation shaft leading upward. Crawling inside, he squeezed into a cramped storage area. Above was a way out. Each time he tried climbing, his hands slipped, his body crashing back down on hard metal. Pain split across his ribs and arms, bruises multiplying. But still he rose again, refusing to give in. The yacht wanted to break him, but he wasn't ready. Again and again Joe slipped and fell, bruised and bleeding, but finally he managed to climb back up to the vent. He clawed at the small window, forcing it with all his strength. Nothing. It was sealed shut, as if welded by unseen hands. His chest tightened. The oxygen in the cramped space was running out. Breathing became harder, each gasp sharper. The door below was locked, the window above sealed. Trapped between two dead ends, Joe felt the weight of death pressing close. Then he heard it, the faint, familiar click, that same mysterious sound that had hurt him before. The vent window cracked open. Without hesitation, Joe pushed himself through, gulping the night air. The first breath of freedom filled his lungs like fire. He deeply shocked onto the deck, blinking into the horizon. And there it was, a small island rising from the waves. The yacht was drifting toward it, pulled as though guided by an unseen force. Hope sparked in his chest. Maybe this is the end. Maybe I can finally escape. As soon as the boats reached the island, Joe leapt off, sand beneath his feet. Rage and desperation burned inside him. Grabbing a heavy stick, he stormed into the trees, convinced he would find whoever was responsible for this nightmare. But the island was empty. No voices, no footprints, no smoke from fire. Nothing. Just silence. The realization crushed him. This wasn't salvation. It was another trick. Shaking with fury and dread, he fell back on a beach and froze. Out on the water, the same haunted yacht was gliding smoothly, its nose cutting the sea like a beast hunting. That was the boat that had dragged him here, abandoned him, and now moved on, hungry for someone else. In that moment, Joe understood. The yacht and the island were bound to something darker, something evil that fed on fear. If he stayed, he would never escape. He had to find a way out anyway. He climbed the island's tallest ridge, scanning the horizon. Far in the distance, another island shimmered faintly. Too far to see clearly, but real enough to stir hope. His heart pounded. He turned back, wandering the shoreline, until his legs froze. It was impossible. Right there, tied to the rocks, was his small fishing boat. The same one he'd lost at the very beginning. And beyond it, people. Familiar voices, familiar shapes. Everything exactly as it had been earlier when his day began. The same place, the same faces. No idea how did he reached. Joe's eyes widened, his mind spinning. Had it all been real? Or dream? Nah, it was real. He said, but if that was true, then how was his boat back? What was this island? Was he free? Or still a nightmare? And how movie ends? Give me your comment below. How did you feel and like it? Thanks for watching. Hope you have enjoyed this. See you in next amazing video. Till then, take care and best wishes. But don't forget to like and subscribe.